Okay.
So McCarthy, they fire him in Dallas. And I understand that. I think it can be justified.
They didn't fire him, Randy.
Oh, yeah, that's true. They did not come to terms.
On an extension.
On an extension,
Or a new contract.
Yeah, it's a nice way to say you're fired.
And what it sounds like, from what I'm understanding, it wasn't even about the money. It was how many years McCarthy wanted.
I don't understand what McCarthy was thinking.
I don't know.
I mean, because I think he might have wanted out.
I mean, yeah, he probably was trying to get a good enough deal to get them to turn it down.
But here you've got McCarthy, who gets let go, and he's 45-35. Made the playoffs 3 years in a row for the Dallas until this year.
Yep.
They don't make it, and then you flip over to Tomlin, and I like Tomlin. I think I really have always really liked him. But I gotta ask, what has he done to deserve to be coaching for this long? They have had. The last 6 times they've made the playoffs, they've lost all 6 games. They're going nowhere every time. In those 6 games, they have been outscored. I just saw this. Stephen A. Smith was saying this. 73 points they have lost in the first quarter in that game. When you start your playoff game off and you're getting trounced early, that's when the coaches are predetermining plays, both offensively and defensively, so it's strategic. He fails every time, and he gets to keep his job, and you've got McCarthy who is moving on here. I want to ask, why is Tomlin continuing to get chances? And if you were a team, do you want somebody that's going to be 500 or a game above 500 pretty much every year? Or do you want to roll the dice, try to get somewhere that's going to get you either a Super Bowl? I just don't want to live in mediocrity. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of reminds me of my Mike Evans comment, but it's completely different. And I want to preference that.
Okay, yeah.
Like, because what I was saying about Mike Evans is, would you rather have one of the greatest wide receiver talents of all time for 5 years, or someone who is above average wide receiver talents for 10, right?
Right.
But this is not the same conversation.
Yeah.
I just want to reiterate that. It's a very similar conversation, but it's not the same.
Nope,
because
it's not the
Mike
same.
Evans not in mediocrity.
No, yeah, yeah. For example, you're not talking all-time coaching wins with the most 12-win games, that's made it to the second round. That would be Evans.
Yeah. But this is the issue. At what point do the Steelers say, we don't want to be here anymore and just get rid of him? And is that going to cause an outrage in the team? Is that going to cause an outrage with the fans? I mean, you can't feel good as a fan to say we make it to the playoffs every year, but we never even get close to winning.
No, nobody picked him to win this year. Nobody picked him last year. Nobody picked him the year before. And I know a lot of teams don't, but Pittsburgh has such great history. That is what they're known for. Chuck Noll, way back in the 70s, won 4 Super Bowls. And then all those players, they held on to him too long, and then they dropped off. Chuck Noll then went on the next 12 years and only had like a couple winning two winning seasons. They keep their players. I mean, and their coaches. They just keep them way beyond their prime. I think it would be best personally for Tomlin to get a fresh start. Sometimes having a form of pressure and rejection can help you revamp what you do and improve. Because I think he's a good coach, but he's not a great coach.
Yeah.
And so if I was a Steelers fan, would I always want to be drafting in the middle of the draft? You're going to be the 20th pick in the draft every year. Yep. You're not going to win. I mean, I'd rather be bad, great, bad, great.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than this. So I don't know. I see McCarthy moving on, and I don't see a big difference in the last 5 years, at least, than what I've seen with Tomlin.
Yeah. I don't know. This is what's crazy is they're so loyal. I wonder if they could just have a conversation with Mike about stepping down and just being a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just the bond that they have is so close.
Yeah.
That this might be the only time that conversation could actually play out.
Do you think he's too much of a player's coach? You had Antonio Brown that he kind of coddled, the Ben Roethlisberger, they kept him too long. And then now you have Pickens, who's kind of being a diva right now, and he's had some fun little comments.
I love George Pickens.
Did you hear his interview yesterday?
No.
Just way more growth for sure. George, does that make you optimistic going forward? Nah.
Okay, yeah. Anyway,
I'm sure it was entertaining.
they're basically just asking him if he's happy, with things, and he's like, nope. He's going to tell you what he thinks. The problem is Pickens also, if you watch him, he's a great receiver, but then he stops on routes. If it's not going to him, he doesn't try.
Yeah.
And they get away with it there.
Yep.
And so I think Tomlin's going to have to, figure out that tough love
Yep.
with being a player's coach, but you've got to set some examples.